Welcome, dreamer. Tonight, we wander to a quiet corner of the American countryside, a place where time moves with the rhythm of slow trains, morning birdsong, and the soft hum of wooden rail ties warming under the rising sun. Take a calm breath. Let the cool dawn air settle gently around you, and allow the sound of distant rail to loosen the weight of the day. Here, beside a small wooden station, on a sleepy rural line, a black dog waits faithfully each morning, patient, gentle, and filled with a hope that never seems to fade. The first light of morning stretches across the field in long golden bands, touching the tops of wheat stalks and the slanted roof of the little station house. Built from weathered timber and trimmed with white paint, softened by years of dust and rain, the station sits quietly at the end of a dirt road lined with tall grass and wild daisies. A telegraph pole leans slightly to the side, its wires humming faintly in the cool air. Somewhere nearby, a meadowlark begins its simple morning song, clear, bright notes carried over the stillness of dawn. Steam from an early freight train lingers on the tracks like a pale ribbon, slowly dissolving as the sun climbs higher. On the long wooden bench just outside the station office, a black dog, Cole, settles into his usual spot. His fur, dark as riverbed stone, catches the first warm hints of sunlight. He shifts once, circling tightly before resting his body against the smooth boards of the bench. His ears tilt forward, listening for the faint, familiar tremor that the rails carry long before a train arrives. The station is quiet, its single clock ticking softly inside, each second a gentle nudge toward the morning's slow awakening. And beneath the wide country sky, Cole waits as he has waited every day, for a train that means more to him than anyone passing by could yet understand. Cole has come to the station every morning for as long as anyone can remember. At exactly 6:40 a.m., just as the eastern sky brightens and the first wagon wheels clatter along the dirt road, he trots down the path from the old water tower and takes his place on the bench. No one taught him the routine. No one calls him. He simply arrives as faithfully as the sunrise. The townsfolk have grown used to the sight of him. The postman tipping his hat, the newspaper boy dropping off a spare sheet for him to lie on, Mrs. Hargrove leaving a scrap of cornbread wrapped in cloth. Cole accepts these small kindnesses with a gentle wag of his tail, but he never leaves his spot for long. Not if it's close to 7:05, when the morning passenger train is due. As the appointed hour approaches, he sits up straighter, ears perked, nose lifted toward the wind, as though catching the earliest hint of smoke, steam, and iron wheels. The station master, old Henry, likes to say that Cole knows the railroad better than half the men who work it. And in a way, it's true. For Cole waits with a purpose, one that no one fully understands at first. Through rain, through winter snow, through the heavy heat of July mornings, he sits in the same place, eyes fixed on the distant bend in the tracks, where the morning train always appears. And though many travelers pass him by, Cole watches only for one. One quiet morning, while Cole sat in his usual place, with the soft patience of a creature who has memorized the dawn, a young boy named Theo slipped onto the bench beside him. Theo had heard the stories. Everyone in town had, but he had never been brave enough to sit so close to the dog who treated the railroad with such solemn importance. Old Henry, the station master, stepped out with his cup of steaming coffee and saw them sitting together, boy and dog, both watching the tracks as though waiting for something only they could sense. After a long sip, Henry spoke in his slow, gravelly voice. "You know why he waits, don't you?" Theo shook his head. Cole didn't move, his gaze fixed on the far-off curve of the rails. Henry lowered himself onto a crate, eyes softening. His owner took the 7:05 train north one morning, he said quietly, and the train came back, but the man didn't. Theo swallowed, glancing at Cole with new understanding. And so Henry finished. Cole waits, because no one ever told him not to hope. Theo returns the next morning, slipping quietly onto the same wooden bench, just as Cole settles into his usual place. The boy carries a small cloth bundle, tightly knotted at the top, and sets it gently at Cole's paws. Inside is a biscuit his mother baked at dawn, still faintly warm. Cole sniffs it once, ears twitching, then looks up at Theo with dark, thoughtful eyes, as if measuring the boy's intentions. Theo lifts the biscuit closer, hands cupped like an offering. "You don't have to eat it," he says softly, "but it's yours if you want it." Cole takes it in one slow, careful bite. Not hungry, just accepting the gesture. When a light drizzle begins to fall, Theo pulls a small handkerchief from his pocket and reaches toward Cole's damp fur. The dog hesitates, not out of fear, but out of a kind of gentle formality, as if he hadn't been touched this kindly in quite some time. Then, almost imperceptibly, he leans into the boy's hand. Theo wipes the raindrops from Cole's face and ears, the dog remaining perfectly still, except for the slow wag of his tail, tapping softly against the bench. From the station office window, Henry watches the scene with quiet approval. Others on the platform do too. The mail carrier pausing mid-step, the baker resting her baskets on her hip, the telegraph operator peering through the doorframe. A small kindness shared in the cool morning rain, the first of many that would soon gather around Cole like sheltering hand. Morning deepens slowly around the little country station, letting in the soft gold of early sunlight, as though the day is being poured gently over the world. Cole remains on his bench, head lifted, ears attentively tuned to every tremor in the air. The station itself has a rhythm, a tapestry of sounds and scents, woven together so gently that even the smallest stir feels part of a larger, peaceful pattern. The first sound is the breeze. It comes drifting across the open field, carrying the earthy smell of turned soil and the faint sweetness of wild clover. It rustles through the tall prairie grass, each blade brushing against the next in a soft whisper that rises and falls like distant breathing. Then comes the bird song, meadowlarks and sparrows, trading simple notes as if greeting the day in their own unhurried language. A lone mourning dove coos under the eaves of the freight shed, its voice low and steady, a gentle reminder that the world wakes slowly in these parts. The wooden platform creaks as townsfolk arrive, one by one. A farmer with dust on his boots, a woman in a faded blue dress holding a basket of eggs, a pair of traveling salesmen in round hats, speaking in low murmurs. Their footsteps form a comfortable rhythm, heel, toe, each one softened by the old planks beneath them. Inside the station office, Henry's coffee pot clicks and steams. The scent of strong black coffee drifts through the half-open window, warm and slightly bitter, mixing with the sharp tang of metal rails, warming under the sun. Cole lifts his head higher, breathing in the familiar smells. Dusty leather from travelers' suitcases, machine oil lingering on the conductor's gloves, and the ever-present scent of wood, the station, the benches, the freight crates. A all of them steeped in decades of sunlight and storms. Theo arrives moments later, carrying a fresh biscuit wrapped in cloth. He sits beside Cole, legs dangling above the platform, and places the biscuit within reach. Cole nudges the boy's elbow once in thanks, before returning his gaze to the tracks. "Do you hear it?" Theo whispers. Cole's ears twitch. The tracks hum, a faint metallic vibration that begins far beyond sight, traveling through iron, through earth, through the quiet morning like a distant heartbeat approaching. Henry steps out of the office and listens with the practiced ear of someone who has lived half his life beside rails. "That'll be the 7:05, he murmurs. "Right on time." Cole knows. His body goes still with attention, not tense, just ready. Hopeful, in the soft, patient way that belongs only to animals who love without condition. The hum grows stronger, joined by the faint hiss of steam and the rhythmic clank of wheels churning against the rails. The air thickens with the scent of coal smoke, sharp but nostalgic, like the memory of cold mornings and warm fires. A plume of white rises above the far bend, curling into the pale sky like a slow-moving cloud. The meadowlarks pause their song. The breeze stills. Even Theo leans forward, breath held. And then the train appears. A black engine with silver trim, its headlamp glowing faintly in the dawn light. Steam spills over the sides in great rolling sighs, coating the air in a soft haze. Passenger cars follow behind, painted in dark green and gold, windows glinting like small mirrors that catch the morning sun. The train slows with a long exhale, brakes hissing across the platform. Dust billows gently around the wheels, and Cole stands, tail lifted, eyes bright with a hope so quiet and so earnest that the entire platform seems to soften around him. Theo watches his friend, the way Cole leans forward half an inch, the way his ears perk at every footstep that descends the train. Cole isn't restless. He isn't anxious. He simply waits, as though waiting is its own quiet devotion. Travelers step off one by one. A teacher with books in her bag, a man carrying a hat box, a mother guiding her sleepy child. They smile at Cole or bend to pat his head, but he hardly notices. He is listening, looking, hoping, and though no familiar figure appears, Cole doesn't whine or droop or despair. He simply sits back down, a small sigh escaping him as he places his chin on his paws. Henry watches from behind. There is no pity in his gaze, only respect. a quiet recognition that Cole's loyalty is something strong and steadfast, something the town has come to cherish. The train departs with a rising whistle, steam billowing behind it as it fades down the line. The platform returns to stillness. The morning light brightens. Cole closes his eyes briefly, resting in the soft warmth of the sun, as though storing its comfort for another day of waiting. And beside him, Theo leans quietly against the bench, sharing the silence, not trying to fill it, not trying to fix anything, just being there, the way Cole is there for the one he still hopes to see. In that soft, unspoken moment, the little country station feels like the gentlest place in the world. As the 705 disappears beyond the far bend, life settles back into its soft country rhythm. Cole lowers his head onto the bench, eyes half closed, breathing slow and steady as the warmth of the rising sun wraps around him like a gentle blanket. Theo watches the dog for a long moment, hands tucked into his pockets, cheeks still touched with the flush of early morning. A thought nudges quietly at his heart, not sharp, not sad, just understanding. "Mr. Henry," he says softly, "Cole isn't waiting for someone who's coming back, is he?" Henry's gaze softens, wrinkles at the corners of his eyes deepening. "No, son," he replies, "but that doesn't mean he waits wrong." Theo tilts his head. "I don't get it." Henry rests a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Sometimes," he says, "hope isn't about getting what you want. Sometimes it's just about keeping a place warm for someone you loved." Theo looks at Cole again, the stillness of his body, the steady patience in every breath he takes. And slowly, as warm sunlight spreads over the train platform, Theo feels something settle deep inside him. A simple truth about loyalty, quiet and enduring, taught by a dog whose heart never learned to stop waiting. A week later, a heavy morning rain sweeps across the countryside, thick, cold drops drumming against the tin roof of the station and running in silver ribbons down the wooden posts. Theo arrives soaked, boots muddy, hair dripping under his cap. He spots Cole curled on the bench, fur darkened by the rain, still facing the tracks, still waiting. Without hesitation, Theo opens his small umbrella and holds it over the dog, arms trembling from the effort, but determined to keep Cole dry. Across the platform, Mrs. Hargrove sees the scene and presses a hand to her heart. Then the telegraph operator appears with spare boards. The baker brings nails. Henry fetches a hammer. One by one, the townsfolk gather, working quietly, steadily, until a simple wooden shelter stands above Cole's waiting place. The dog looks up at them, ears lowering in gentle gratitude. Night settles gently over the small countryside town, slow and unhurried, as though the sky itself is tucking the world in for sleep. The rain has passed, leaving behind the clean scent of wet earth and the soft shimmer of puddles spread across the platform boards. Lanterns along the station glow low and warm, casting amber reflections that sway quietly with the night breeze. Under the newly built shelter, Cole lies curled upon a folded blanket someone left just hours before. Thick, woolen, still holding the faint warmth of the hands that placed it there. Henry sits nearby on an overturned crate, his coat draped over his shoulders, boots propped against the wooden post. He doesn't say much, just hums a low, tuneless melody that blends with the steady chorus of crickets warming up for the night. Cole's breathing deepens, slow and even, his chest rising and falling in a rhythm that matches the quiet pulse of the station. Whenever a drop of water falls from the roof, it taps gently against a metal bucket below, the softest, sleepiest percussion. In the distance, the rails cool with tiny clicks, leftover echoes from the afternoon freight train. The sound fades gradually until nothing remains but the easy hush of the countryside and the occasional whisper of wind moving through the prairie grass. Henry leans back against the post, hands folded across his lap, his eyes drifting half closed. "Good spot you've got now," he murmurs, barely above a whisper. Cole flicks his tail once in reply, content and sheltered, cradled by the kindness of the community that learned to wait with him. Morning returns softly, painting pale gold over the quiet platform, and glinting along the rails, still damp from the night's rain. Cole wakes with a slow stretch, shakes the sleep from his fur, and steps out from beneath his new shelter, tail lifted, ears forward, ready. The 7:05 whistle sounds in the distance, clear and familiar, rolling across the open fields like a gentle promise. The townsfolk keep their distance, letting Cole have his moment. As the train pulls into the station, steam curling around him in soft white clouds. Henry rests a hand on the wooden post and whispers, "Good boy, the morning train is here." And beneath the wide country sky, Cole waits faithfully, his hope as quiet and steady as the dawn itself.